Chapter 26-25. Her? Everyone was taken aback when they heard Wang Xian. The elders of the Moon sect and Yu Xingxing were also stunned and didn't look too good. What do you take us for? Yu Xingxing stared at Wang Xian coldly. Little brother, this exchange is held by our Moon sect. Please don't slander our Moon sect. The elders of the Moon sect said in a deep voice. I'll say it again. I'm not selling or trading Moonlight Bay. Don't try to buy it again and again. Wang Xian sneered and said to the few people from the Moon sect. If you don't want to sell, we won't force you to sell. The elders of the Moon sect stared at Wang Xian and said coldly with a tinge of displeasure. This. The crowd fell silent and didn't dare to say a word. They didn't dare to comment on the matters of the Moon sect. Master, what happened? At this time, a voice came from the side. Bei Shuang, who was dressed in plain clothes and had short hair, walked towards Wang Xian. She looked around and fixed her gaze on Wang Xian, who was in the middle. That is, Frost Goddess. Master? Frost Goddess addressed that young man as master? Could that young man be the master of Frost Goddess? Bei Shuang's sudden arrival stunned the people around her. They looked at her in astonishment. The Frost Goddess was now a popular figure on the entire Demon Island. The experts from various forces even paid her a visit. More than a year ago, the Frost Goddess had yet to reach the Divine King realm. However, in 2 years, she had the combat strength of an 8th-level immortal king. Such a terrifying improvement was even more shocking than the heavens-favored girl, who suppressed the same era, more than 30,000 years ago. If 30,000 years ago, she suppressed a young man of the same era. Now she was suppressing the entire Demon Island. No one doubted that the returning Frost Goddess could become the strongest expert in this region. The title of Great Emperor had been secretly acknowledged by everyone. It's nothing, just a small matter. Wang Xian looked at Bei Shuang and shook his head. You are Bei Shuang's master? Seeing this, Yuexin Xingguang stared at Wang Xian with a complicated expression. Wang Xian swept a glance at him and ignored him. Bei Shuang also looked at him coldly. You? Seeing that Wang Xian had ignored her, Yu Xingguang was a little embarrassed. The leader of a small force is qualified to be the master of the Frost Goddess? Yu Xingxing stared at Wang Xian with a little sarcasm. Shut up. Elder Yu, is this how you teach your disciples? As soon as he finished speaking, Bei Shuang's expression turned cold. An extremely cold aura instantly filled the surroundings as he stared coldly at Yuexin and the elders of the Moonlight Great Sect. When Elder Yu saw Bei Shuang's reaction, his expression changed greatly. Yu Xingxing's face also turned pale. The surrounding experts held their breaths and stared blankly from the side. Who? The Moon Great Sect elder heaved a sigh of relief. His expression changed as he looked at Yu Xingxing. Little light, hurry up and apologize to the Frost Goddess. Yu Xingxing's expression was incomparably ugly as she opened her mouth. Apologize? The elder of the Moon sect shouted coldly. Frost Goddess, I'm sorry. He gritted his teeth, lowered his head and apologized. You should apologize to my master. Bei Shuang stared at him coldly. I won't bother with him. He's just a small fry. Wang Xian looked at Bei Shuang and said plainly. After which he turned around and walked out. It was already a pleasant surprise to reap one moonlight gulf. There was no need for him to stay here any longer. Bei Shuang stared coldly at Yu Xingxing before following Wang Xian out. Small fry. When Yu Xingxing heard Wang Xian's words, she clenched her fist tightly. Little light, don't cause trouble. Don't offend the Frost Goddess. At this time, a voice rang in his mind. He shivered and nodded his head. The Frost Goddess was already an expert who had grown up with the strength of an 8th-level immortal king. Even the sects of the Moon sect would find it difficult to kill her. After all, she could return to her own god kingdom instantly. If they couldn't kill her the first time, they would have to wait for the revenge of a demon-like expert. The sects of the Moon sect didn't dare to take the risk. It wasn't worth it. SSS. The Frost Goddess seems to be very respectful to her master. She's actually so protective of him. How can she not be respectful? You should know that the Frost Goddess has been in seclusion for over 30,000 years. Without her master, she would still be in a corner. This is the luck of the Frost Goddess. It's also the luck of her master to be able to meet a master who possesses the art of frost cultivation. Who would dare to offend the leader of a small force in the future with the frost goddess? Even some of the sects would have to give him some face. Some people whispered as they watched them leave. As for Wang Xian, he had truly entered the sights of all the forces. As the master of the frost goddess, he had entered the sights of everyone. Master, did you get any treasures from that place just now? Bei Shuang asked as they flew out of the moon-beckoning planet. Not bad. I got a treasure. It should be very useful. Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head. After chatting with Bei Shuang for a while, he returned to the main dragon palace. The moonlight gulf of the ancient pool is the ultimate treasure of the elves. It's definitely extraordinary. This moonlight gulf has some damage. I wonder if it can be repaired under the progenitor tree. Wang Xian came to the Dragon King Palace and walked to the dragon throne. The current progenitor tree had already reached a height of 500 meters. It was lush and full of vitality. There were many fruits on it. I wonder if this progenitor tree is comparable to the tree of life of the elves. He murmured. The tree of life was known as the #1 divine tree in the universe. He wondered how it would compare to the progenitor tree. Wang Xian felt that the progenitor tree might be even more magical than the tree of life. Wang. He waved his arm and placed the moonlight gulf of the ancient pool on the right side of the dragon throne. Wang wang wang. When the moonlight gulf landed under the progenitor tree, the entire ancient pool trembled slightly. A green glow floated out from within and connected to the progenitor tree. Swoosh. On the progenitor tree, a leaf landed slowly in the moonlight gulf. There are changes indeed, but I can't tell for now. Wang Xian looked at the moonlight gulf of the ancient pool and revealed a smile. I wonder if the essence of the moon will be born. He murmured. After observing for a while, he realized that the cracks on the moonlight gulf were recovering at a very slow speed. It should take some time. Wang Xian smiled and ignored it. He returned to the dragon peak of the Demon Island. Chapter 26-26. Wonderful pop-up window free reading. The northern front of the Demon Islands welcomed a rare half a month of peace. However, the peaceful half a month did not cause the experts of the various forces to relax. Many treasures appeared at the Moon Sect's gathering. At the gathering, the other experts also got to know the master of the Goddess of Frost. Everyone was shocked at how protective the Goddess of Frost was. After all, the Goddess of Frost did not care about the face of the Moon Sect, and questioned the elder of the sect. Fortunately, the Moon Sect was also in the wrong and bowed their heads. The master of the Goddess of Frost, the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace of the Southern Star Galaxy, also entered the sights of some forces. When all the forces knew that the Dragon King led a group of experts and drove a powerful war machine to kill the 8th Order Immortal God King Abyss species, they were shocked. The Dragon King and the others were not as weak as they thought. Half a month passed and Wang Xian stayed in the Dragon Peak. The experts of the Dragon Palace were also in the Dragon Peak, waiting for the next war to break out. I guess the war will break out soon. Wang Xian stood on the command platform on the Dragon Peak, looking at the situation in the abyss, and mumbling to himself. It's going to happen soon. Many abyss species have gathered here in the past few days, and they are getting stronger. Tianjun said as he stared into the abyss from the side. I feel that there is a powerful existence behind these abyss species commanding them. Wang Xian frowned slightly. The abyss species came in batches, why not all at once? If that was the case, the forces at the northern front might not be able to hold them off. It's a little strange. These abyss species seem to be doing this on purpose to nurture powerful abyss species. Tianjun nodded his head slightly. The abyss species here are getting stronger and stronger. Last time, the weakest was level 1 Eternal God Lord. Now the weakest is no lower than level 3 Eternal God Lord. He continued. The abyss species broke through very quickly. By devouring humans and their own kind, they could evolve rapidly. In the battle between humans and abyss species, the abyss species kept getting stronger. Although humans were getting stronger too, the speed was several times slower. If the war continued like this for more than a decade, if there was an endless supply of abyss species, the weakest would probably be Immortal God King. I heard that the central island of the Emperor Star region, the Imperial Court, and the Deep Abyss are also moving. I wonder if it's true. Wang Xian mumbled to himself as he recalled the information he had read on the artificial intelligence over the past few days. At this time, a series of roars came from the abyss ahead. Another group of abyssal species has come. The war is about to break out. Wang Xian looked over and saw countless abyssal species flying over from the depths of the abyss. One could vaguely feel the majestic might of the leader. All members of Dragon Palace, get ready, he shouted softly. All disciples of Beichuan sect, prepare for battle. Just as Wang Xian finished his sentence, a voice came from the side of Beichuan sect. The battle broke out again. This time, let's try to kill more powerful abyss species. Wang Xian stood on the podium and exuded a chilling aura. If he wanted to improve himself, he would need around 10 Undying God King level 8th order abyss-type crystals. If they could kill 10 Undying God King stage 8 abyss species, Dragon Palace's strength would rise to another level. Depart! Tianjin shouted softly, and the entire Dragon Peak started moving. The current Dragon Peak had undergone a qualitative change compared to the Dragon Peak from the previous war. Previously, Dragon Peak only had 1,000 Undying God King level experts. This time, it had increased to 5,000, including himself and Tianjin. The number of 8th Order Undying God King stage experts had reached 4. Wang. Dragon Peak trembled slightly and arrived in front of Beichuan sect's planet in an instant. Beishuang, come over here. Wang Xian looked to the side and shouted to Beishuang. This area was one of the 2 areas that suffered the heaviest attacks from Beichuan sect. Previously, it was guarded by an old ancestor of Beichuan sect. This time, Beishuang swapped places with that old ancestor, and she was guarding this area. Yes, master. Beishuang nodded and immediately flew towards the podium. An elder at the side looked on and did not say a word. With Dragon Peak's help, things would be much easier for them. There are 2 8th Order Undying God King level abyss species in this area, and 1,500 Undying God Kings. Dragon Peak charge. All members get ready to hunt. Looking at the results of the array formation, Tianjin let out a soft shout. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Dragon Peak let out a thunderous roar and charged forward. Roar, roar, roar. In front, 7 to 8 million abyss species were also charging over. However, the abyss species were a little stunned. This was the first time someone dared to charge at them in such an arrogant manner. Dragon Palace is a little fierce, relying on Dragon Peak's war machine to charge at the abyss species. Behind them, the people from Beichuan sect were slightly shocked. We will guard this area, don't charge forward. The elder from Beichuan sect had seen the strength of Dragon Palace and reminded the disciples. Roar, roar, roar. In front, the huge Dragon Peak attracted the attention of a large number of abyss species. In an instant, millions of abyss species pounced towards Dragon Peak. Attack! At this time, Mao Zedong's voice rang out from the arrow podium. Swish, swish, swish. In the next instant, countless densely packed arrows flew forward. Mao Zedong pulled back his bowstring and locked his eyes on an 8th Order Undying God King level abyss species that was charging towards them. Roving demon, get ready. With a light shout, the arrow in his hand instantly shot out. Roar, roar, roar. As the arrow flew out, it instantly transformed into a 10-meter-long golden dragon. Around the golden dragon were numerous green vortexes. As the arrow left the arrow, it instantly appeared in front of the 8th Order Undying God King level abyss species. In the middle, it pierced through a few hundred abyss species without any decrease in speed. Roar, roar. The 8th Order Undying God King level abyss species could feel the threat from the arrow. It roared and swung its hammer-like tail towards the arrow. Pung! A terrifying collision resounded, and the shockwave caused many abyss species within a 100 kilometers radius to die, or be heavily injured. Pooh! At the moment of collision, a black and white shadow appeared behind the 8th Order Undying God King level abyss species, and pierced through its body. So, on the arrow podium, Mao Zedong fired another arrow, turning into a smooth arc that landed on the 8th Order Undying God King level abyss species. Roar, roar. A voice filled with endless fear rang out from its mouth as its body floated downwards heavily. Chapter 26-27. Wonderful pop-up window free reading. So strong. So terrifying. Instantly killing a rank 8 abyss species. After the Undying God King rank 8 abyss species was killed, it was at the back. Because Dragon Palace's Dragon Peak had taken the lead, they had not clashed with the abyss species yet. Now, a group of Undying God Kings with better eyesight saw the terrifying attack of Dragon Palace land on that Undying God King level 8 abyss species. 2 attacks, along with that black and white shadow, instantly killed it. An Undying God King rank 8 abyss species was instantly killed. This power was truly terrifying. Even if all the experts from North Stream sect gathered together, it would be hard to do so. However, very quickly, they saw a series of terrifying arrows flying towards the countless abyss species. Poo-pee-pee-oo. The next moment, they saw incomparably powerful arrows piercing through the powerful abyssal species one after another. In just one round of attacks, at least hundreds of thousands of abyss species were killed. Moreover, the elders and experts from North Stream sect noticed that in that round of attacks, over 200 Undying God King rank abyss species were killed. This power? See, this Dragon Palace is even stronger than the last time. Can our North Stream sect even compare to this? Some of the experts from North Stream sect looked on in shock. The second round of attacks began. Countless arrows pierced through the abyss species. Within the Heaven's Eye Arrow unit, there were over 2,000 Undying God King rank experts. Under this round of attacks, even the Undying God King abyss species could not withstand it. The arrows reaped the lives of the Undying God King abyss species. By the side, the Undying God King rank 8 abyss species revealed a look of fear when he saw Longfang's attack. It let out a low roar in panic and immediately fled into the distance. It escaped. Wuxia, who was standing on the command platform, frowned slightly. The mysterious beasts, don't let them escape. Wuxia pondered for a moment before giving the order. Yes, Dragon King. A voice rang out. The spiked dragon immediately flew out of Dragon Peak and killed those abyss species that were trying to escape. There are 13 Undying God King rank 7 abyss species. We cannot let them escape. Tianjun murmured as he controlled Dragon Peak to fly towards the abyss. This, so strong. When Bei Shuang, who was standing beside Wuxia, saw this scene, a tinge of shock flashed in her eyes. She did not expect the Dragon Palace to be so powerful. When the Dragon Palace charged directly towards the area where the abyss species were densely packed, it incurred the wrath of countless abyss species. If there were 1 or 2 million of them just now, there would be 5 or 6 million of them now. Below, close to 70% of the Undying God King abyss species attacked. Very good. Seeing that most of the abyss species were attacking them, Tianjin smiled. Fire Hammer Tribe, prepare to attack. Sky Eye Arrow Unit, kill the Undying God King level abyss race first. Heavenly Formation immediately gave the order. In the next moment, the 1,000 Inferno Golden Swords created by the Fire Hammer clan that could rival Undying God Kings activated. Under Malzison's lead, the Heaven's Eye Arrow unit locked onto the Undying God Kings. With an 8th Order Undying God King like him, killing weaker abyss beasts was a piece of cake. Under the situation where he could not return to his own God Kingdom in an instant, he killed one 7th Order Undying God King level abyss race with a single arrow, following which, the abyss race was being slaughtered at a terrifying speed. Facing the Dragon Palace experts in the Dragon Peak, the abyss race in this area had no way of resisting. Too strong, we don't even need to do anything. Very strong, we basically don't need to do anything. Behind them, the group of North River sect disciples saw that the Dragon Peak was fending off most of the abyss race. And they were dumbfounded, especially when the abyss race was being slaughtered madly. In a short few minutes, half of the abyss race that came to attack had already been killed. This strength was too heaven-defying. So strong, we don't even need to defend here anymore. The elder from North River sect was shocked. He hesitated for a moment and reported the situation here to the rest of the sect. If the other places needed support, they could go over. Is the Dragon Palace that strong? They actually managed to fend off the Abyss race from the Starwind planet, and even wantonly slaughtered them? At the same time, in front of a planet near the center of the northern border, an old man from North River Sect saw the news, and his face lit up with joy. He looked at the battle in front of him. The sect leader and 3 old ancestors were all out, fighting against 7 8th Order Undying God King level Abyss race. Elder Bay, if you can provide support, immediately bring the experts to the center. We have too many Abyss race here. They are too strong. The old man immediately sent a message to Elder Bay. Leave a quarter of the disciples to defend here. The rest of the disciples and experts, follow me to the center. Elder Bay received the message, looked at the dragon peak in front of him, and immediately ordered the surrounding disciples and experts. Yes, the group of people moved, and immediately rushed towards another direction. They were no longer needed here. Pu. Around the Dragon Peak, the group of Dragon Palace members were killing Abyss race after Abyss race. After the mysterious demons made their move, their killing speed became even more terrifying. 5 to 6 million Abyss race might seem like a lot, but the Heaven's Eye arrow unit could shoot thousands of arrows in a second. Even if they killed one in a second, 35,000 Heaven's Eye arrow unit members could kill close to 2 million in a minute. After obtaining these resources, Dragon Palace will be able to improve crazily. Using war to nurture war, Dragon Palace's speed of improvement was even more terrifying. Just these corpses alone, Dragon Palace could increase the fighting strength of 2 8th Order Undying God Kings. As for the rest, needless to say, subsequently, in a short 5 minutes, Dragon Palace killed 7 to 8 million Abyss race. One by one, the corpses were collected by the mysterious demons. Done, we can go to other places. Wang Xian swept his gaze across and squinted his eyes. Bei Shuang, ask North River Sect which side has more Abyss race. We will kill our way there immediately. He looked at Bei Shuang, and said with a smile, Yes, master. Bei Shuang nodded, feeling grateful in her heart. Dragon Palace's help was a great help to North River Sect. Otherwise, who knew how many North River Sect disciples would have died here? Master, North River Sect's center is in danger. There are 7 8th Order Undying God King Abyss race. Soon, Bei Shuang reported to Wang Xian with a grave expression. Chapter 26-28. Wonderful pop-up window free reading. 7 rank 8 Undying God King Abyss species? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow when he heard Bei Shuang. Lead the way. He said immediately. Bei Chuan Sect and Dragon Palace could easily deal with, and even kill 7 rank 8 Abyss species. This was good news for the Dragon Palace. Yes, master. Master, according to the news from Elder Deacon, the invasion this time is more ferocious than the previous few times. There are many powerful Abyss species. Bei Shuang said with a solemn expression. It had only been a little more than a month, and it was already somewhat difficult to resist. If this continued, it was likely that the northern front would be breached. Once it was breached, the Abyss species would expand rapidly and occupy 2/5 of the entire Demon Island. If they retreated further, the entire Demon Island would be conquered. At that time, the trillions of people on the Demon Island would be rootless, and the death toll would be uncountable. Therefore, they could not retreat from the northern front, unless it was absolutely necessary. Even if they had to sacrifice countless lives, they had to defend this place. Is that so? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow. Once the forces at the northern front could not hold on, Dragon Palace could forget about getting the Abyss species so easily. It's right ahead. Long Feng was fast and arrived in front of a planet in less than 10 minutes. This planet was obviously much bigger than the other planets. In front of the planet, countless Abyss species were roaring. In the sky above the Abyss, 4 old men were struggling to fend off 7 rank 8 Undying God King Abyss species. One of the old men only had half his body left and looked extremely miserable. Below them, tens of millions of Bei Chuan Sect experts and disciples were fighting with tens of millions of Abyss species. The entire battlefield was filled with blood and looked extremely tragic. Sect leader. Bei Shuang's expression changed slightly at the sight of the devastation. With a loud shout, He immediately flew up into the sky above the abyss. Shuang Heir, be careful! Beichuan sect leader, and the rest were overjoyed when they saw Bei Shuang and the people from Dragon Palace. Sect leader, I'm here to support you. Bei Shuang cast a glance at Wang Xian before flying into the void. Be careful, we just need to hold them back. Sect Master Kitagawa and the rest growled with solemn expressions. 7 Undying God King level 8 Abyss species. This was completely out of their expectations. However, they could not retreat. They could only fight for time, so that the Beichuan sect disciples below could kill more abyssal species. As long as they killed half of the abyssal species, they would be able to retreat from the abyssal species. Come on, let's charge over. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the array in front of Tianjun. His eyes were burning with passion as he bellowed in a low voice. All members of Dragon Palace, get ready to kill. Ha ha ha. Tianjun also laughed wantonly. The number of abyss species in front of them was indeed a huge resource for the Dragon Palace. Boom boom boom. Long Feng sped up and flew towards the battlefield like a gigantic space beast. The experts from Dragon Palace are here to support us. I heard they easily killed an Undying God King level 8 abyss species. Hold on, everyone. The experts of Dragon Palace are here to support us. The Beichuan sect disciples had some understanding of Dragon Palace's strength. Seeing the huge Long Feng charging over, everyone's faces were filled with excitement, especially the reinforcements from Beichuan sect. They had just witnessed how the experts from Dragon Palace killed an Undying God King level 8 abyss species in an instant, while another fled in fear. They even killed over 1,000 Undying God King level abyss species, and 5 to 6 million normal abyssal species. All Beichuan sect disciples, get out of the way. Charge! Tianjun rode on Long Feng as he stared at the battlefield in front of him and charged over. At the same time, Tianjun licked his lips as array compasses appeared before him. Wung wung wung. In the next instant, the entire Long Feng shuddered as numerous thorns covered the area. Each of the thorns had a 1,000-meter-long spike on it. Get out of the way, get out of the way. What are Dragon Palace trying to do? Are they going to charge over? So ferocious. The experts and disciples from Beichuan sect were slightly shocked as they saw Long Feng charging over. The disciples who were in the way immediately dodged to the side. Roar, roar, roar. Long Feng's speed was extremely fast. The moment he entered the battlefield, his huge body attracted the attention of countless abyssal species. Countless abyssal species charged towards Long Feng. Fire! On the arrow platform, Mao Zedong stared coldly at the millions of abyssal species around him as he roared. So. In the next instant, numerous arrows arced through the space of the abyss and shot towards the abyssal species. Pew. 1 second. In just 1 second, 35,000 members of the Heaven's Eye Arrow unit each shot out over 1,000 arrows. Every arrow was like a scythe that reaped the lives of the abyssal species. Even 3 of the rank 7 Undying God King abyssal species were killed by Mao Zedong. As the Heaven's Eye Arrow unit members attacked, Long Feng continued charging forward with an invincible aura. Pung pung pung. Some of the abyssal species that were not hit by the Heaven's Eye Arrow unit members directly charged towards Long Feng. Long Feng's invincible aura instantly suppressed hundreds of thousands of abyssal species. Kill! Ao Xingmu stood at the entrance of a cave and roared. So. The next moment, the thorny vines attacked the abyss species one by one like a dragon python in the dark. In just an instant, Long Feng and the members of Dragon Palace killed over 1 million abyssal species. In the battlefield, Long Feng directly charged into a vacuum. Long Feng directly charged into the camp of the abyssal species. Hiss! All the experts and disciples of North Stream sect could not help but inhale deeply when they saw this scene. This is too ferocious. The experts of Dragon Palace are too terrifying. So strong. That Long Feng is too terrifying. Even the attacks of rank 5 and 6 Undying God King abyssal species did not leave a single mark on it. Too strong. This Long Feng is too strong. And the archers on Long Feng are even more terrifying. There are even rank 8 Undying God King archers. All the members of North Stream sect could not help but exclaim in a low voice as their morale soared. Dragon Palace was 10 times stronger than they had imagined. Haha, good. In the sky, Bei Shuang's support allowed North Stream sect leader and the rest to slow down. They could not help but roar in excitement when they saw this scene. In front of them, 7 rank 8 Undying God King Abyssal species looked down with bloodthirsty eyes, their faces filled with rage. 3 of the Undying God King Abyssal species moved, intending to attack Long Feng. You want support? Stay here then, Bei Shuang roared, freezing everything within a billion miles, causing the speed of the 7 rank 8 Undying God King Abyssal species to decrease greatly. Don't seal it, let them over. Wang Xian's eyes swept across and said immediately. Chapter 26-29. Yes, master. Within the abyss, Bei Shuang heard Wang Xian's words, and did not hesitate to stop the 3 Undying God King Abyss species. What is Dragon King trying to do? Bei Chuan and the rest were shocked when they heard Wang Xian's words. Without Bei Shuang and the rest to stop them, the 3 rank 8 Undying God King Abyss species roared furiously and stared at Dragon Peak with bloodthirsty eyes as they pounced towards Dragon Peak. Goo. One of the rank 8 Undying God King Abyss species opened its mouth, and its stomach suddenly expanded. Rumble. A terrifying wave of darkness energy surged towards Dragon Peak. The terrifying attacks caused Sect Master Kitagawa and the rest to be unable to help but raise their eyebrows. 7 rank 8 Undying God King Abyss species. They had to deal with 4 of them. The pressure was much less. Dragon Palace had purposely let 3 of them come over. Could they really kill them? 3 rank 8 Undying God King Abyss species. Even they would have a hard time killing them. Roving Demon Mao Zesen, get ready, kill these 3 rank 8 Abyss species. Tianjun saw the Abyss species attacking Dragon Peak, and his eyes flashed with a cold light. Alright, below. Mao Zesen pulled his bow to the max, and shot an arrow towards the wave of darkness. The terrifying collision caused the arrow and the current to dissipate. Let's attack together. Wang Xian stared at the 3 rank 8 Undying God King Abyss species and flew out. His eyes locked onto one of the Abyss species. Dragon Claw. Wang Xian's arm reached out and attacked that rank 8 Undying God King Abyss species. Roar. That Abyss species roared and extended its Dragon Claw. Black flames condensed on it as it welcomed the Dragon Claw. Rumble. Consecutive clashing sounds could be heard. Have a taste of the power of Dragon Peak's array. Tianjun stood on the command platform, waving the array formation compass with both hands. Walala. The sound of branches could be heard from Dragon Peak. The entire branch covered in thorny vines rapidly extended forward. The countless vines gathered together and formed a terrifying monster. The huge monster charged towards one of the Abyss species. Wang Xian locked onto one. Mao Zesen locked onto another. Dragon Peak's array locked onto another. In an instant, the 3 Undying God Kings were suppressed. On the Dragon Peak, the Heavenly Eye Arrow unit, the Starwood Dragon species, and the mysterious demon were frantically hunting the abyssal demons around them. So. Bam. Ayo. At the center of the mountain was a monster formed by countless thorns. Thick thorns fell on its body, causing it to let out a miserable shriek. Instant attack, instant suppression. The thorny monster condensed by the Dragon Peak's array formation could easily suppress a rank 8 Abyss species. Roar! The rank 8 Abyss species was covered in blood. The fresh blood made it even more violent. Countless cyan blades slashed at the thorn monster. So. However, at this moment 2 strangely shaped thorny monsters flew out from behind the Dragon Peak. Streams of nomological thorns directly sealed the void behind them. Roar! The rank 8 Abyss species was slightly shocked. It let out a low growl with some fear and lowered its body slightly. So. Following which, a series of attacks flew towards the rank 8 Abyss species. As the attacks landed, more and more wounds appeared on its body. The rank 8 Abyss species revealed a look of panic and fear. It was completely unstoppable. There was no way to resist. The current heavenly array could be said to be the strongest array formation of the Dragon Peak. The array he set up could eliminate 2 to 3 8th level Undying God King existences. It was to eliminate, not resist. When the array was activated, an Undying God King Abyss species could not resist. Dragon Claw. Ahead, Wang Xian was fighting against a rank 8 abyss species. His dragon claw slashed out continuously, clashing with it time and time again. The mystical dragon race's strength lay in their physique and origin laws. Wang Xian covered the dragon claw with the laws as he swung it around. A human controlling a 10,000-meter-long dragon claw. From afar, this scene was a little strange, and even comical. But fighting to the death with a tier 8 abyss species, everyone would tremble. That Dragon King is also an 8th level Undying God King. The experts from Beichuan sect saw the Dragon King of Dragon Palace, Bei Shuang's master, fighting against an 8th level Undying God King abyss species alone. And their faces were filled with shock. That Dragon King was not a 7th level Undying God King, but had the same strength as their sect's peak experts. Shuang Er's attacks are similar to that Dragon King's. Seems like Dragon King must have taught her. Beichuan sect leader and the few old ancestors looked over, their eyes gleaming. They looked at Bei Shuang, who also used his terrifying ice claws to attack. This kind of attack looked abnormally powerful and berserk. Boom boom boom. Terrifying sounds of collisions rang out continuously. The arrival of Wang Xian and the rest had greatly reduced the pressure on the entire Beichuan sect. As for the number of abyss species, they were being slaughtered at a terrifying speed. There were 5,000 Undying God King experts in Dragon Palace, and there were quite a number of 7th level experts as well. Towards the surrounding abyss species, it was a massacre. Aoao. After fighting for 3 minutes, a blood-curdling scream suddenly came from the interior of the thorny area. This is a rank 8 abyss species has been killed? Upon hearing this sound, Beichuan sect leader and the rest immediately looked towards the thorny area. Swish swish swish. At this moment, countless thorny monsters charged towards the abyss species in front of Wang Xian. What a fast speed! Wang Xian smiled when he saw the sky formation finishing off one abyss species. At the same time, he attacked with his dragon claws. That abyss species saw the thorny monsters charging towards it, and its expression changed drastically. It quickly tried to block. Pfft! The attacks from the dragon claws were followed by the thorny attacks. Just as it was defending with all its might, a creepy black and white shadow appeared behind it. The black and white shadow penetrated its body instantly. Roar roar. It widened its eyes, let out a low growl, and its body was trembling. Surround and kill the third one. Seeing that the abyss species was being attacked, Wang Xian immediately locked his gaze on the rank 8 abyss species that Maozisan was attacking. That rank 8 abyss species saw Wang Xian and the thorny monsters, as well as that creepy black and white shadow, and it was horrified. Don't let it escape. Seeing that it was trying to escape, Wang Xian immediately roared. Swish swish swish. Thorny vines and arrows immediately sealed off its position. Boom. Wang Xian's dragon claws clawed towards it. Roar. It roared furiously. Under the siege, it could only block the attacks with all its might. Pfft. Roving demon's figure flashed past it, leaving a serious injury on its body. Wang Xian and Maozisan's attacks came again. Chapter 2630. 6-9 Chinese Language Network. There was no pop-up window for free reading. Kill. A cold roar came from Wang Xian's mouth. The heavily injured rank 8 Undying God King abyss species was instantly hit. Roar. A cry of despair came from its mouth. Roving demon's figure once again appeared behind it. Pfft! The scythe of the Grim Reaper fell, instantly killing it. So strong. Dragon Palace actually killed 3 rank 8 Undying God King abyss species in such a short time. This Dragon Palace is stronger than us. Beichuan sect leader and the few old ancestors exchanged glances, their eyes filled with shock. 3 rank 8 Undying God King abyss species, all killed in 5 minutes. Such strength, Beichuan sect could not do it. Leave these 4 rank 8 abyss species behind. Wang Xian saw that the 3 abyss species were all killed. He smiled and looked at the 4 rank 8 abyss species that were being held back by Bei Shuang and the rest. Yes, Dragon King. We Beichuan sect will never forget your kindness today. Beichuan sect leader and the rest's eyes shone brightly as they shouted. Surround them. One of the old ancestors of Beichuan sect shouted, and the 5 of them immediately surrounded the 4 rank 8 abyss species. The 4 rank 8 abyss species swept their gazes over Wang Xian's direction, revealing an anxious expression. They all pounced towards an old man at the side, trying to carve out a path for themselves. Ice wall. Bei Shuang waved his ice claws, pointing at the abyss species. Endless snow-white frost immediately formed an incomparably huge ice wall. The ice wall was extremely thick, and the 4 abyss species attacks only caused it to crumble. For beasts, don't even think of escaping. Bei Chuan's sect leader roared. A long spear appeared in his hand, piercing towards the abyss species. Seal. At this time, the voice of the dragon peak array sounded. 3 terrifying monsters formed from thorns took up a triangular position. The dense thorns formed a line of defense. Kill. Wang Xian charged over. Mao Zixin stood on the archery platform, pulling his bowstring to the maximum, firing arrows at the 4 rank 8 Undying God King Abyss species. Next, the battle continued. But this time, Bei Chuan sect and Bei Shuang had a total of 5 8th Order Immortal King Realm experts, while Wang Xian, Mao Zixin, and Ao Yao Heavenly Array had 4. However, their battle prowess could not be measured by just 4. Their powerful array formation was even more terrifying. Facing the 4 Undying God King Abyss species, after they were trapped, they were quickly killed one by one. Each time Roving Demon attacked, it would cause a rank 8 abyssal species to fall or heavily injure. Sect leader Kitagawa and the others couldn't even sense Roving Demon's presence. This caused sect leader Bei Chuan and the others to be filled with shock and fear. Very soon, one rank 8 abyss species after another were killed. Ha ha ha. Good. When the last type 8 abyss monster was killed by Roving Demon, sect leader Kitagawa and the rest could not help but burst out laughing, their faces filled with excitement. Thank you, Dragon King. Thank you, experts of the Dragon Palace, for lending a hand. We, the Beichuan clan, will definitely repay your kindness today. Sect leader Kitagawa and the rest thanked Wang Xian and the rest again. You don't have to be so polite. We'll be taking these abyssal crystals. Wang Xian chuckled as he spoke to sect leader Kitagawa and the rest. Haha, of course. These abyssal crystals will naturally belong to the Dragon Palace. Sect leader Kitagawa nodded his head immediately. Wang Xian chuckled as he got Mao Zixin and the rest to keep the corpses. He was also excited. 8 rank 8 Undying God King Abyss species corpses. To the entire Dragon Palace, this was a huge resource. Moreover, there were corpses of other abyssal species around. Our sect leader and the rest joined forces with the experts of the Dragon Palace to kill those 7 rank 8 Undying God King Abyss species. They're too strong. Ha ha ha. The experts of the Dragon Palace are too strong. They're practically invincible. Look at the archers on the Dragon Peak. These abyssal species were easily killed. Behind them, the disciples of the Beichuan clan watched this scene with excitement. With the 7 rank 8 abyss species killed, there was no longer any threat to the Beichuan clan. Coupled with the help of the experts from the Dragon Palace, Beichuan sect suffered the least losses in this battle. Our Dragon Python group is unable to hold on for much longer. Which forces have experts? Please send help. Our Dragon Python group is willing to give you some shares. If you send help, you'll be the benefactor of our Dragon Python group. Just as the North Creek clan was celebrating, and the Dragon Palace was crazily hunting and collecting the corpses of the abyss species, a voice suddenly came from the right. Something happened to the Dragon Python group? Sect leader Kitagawa and the rest were slightly shocked. Their faces were solemn. The Dragon Python group was asking for help, and was even willing to pay such a huge price. It must have reached a terrible stage. It might even have reached a stage where they could not resist. Otherwise, they wouldn't be asking for help. The Dragon Python group is asking for help? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow, his eyes gleaming. Tianjun, can the array detect the situation over at the Dragon Python group? He immediately asked the heavenly formation beside him. Yes, Dragon King. There are 8 rank 8 Undying God King Abyss species there. Tianjun looked at the array and nodded his head. 8. I can handle it. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and nodded. Everyone from the Dragon Python group, hold on, we'll be there immediately. He shouted and immediately went to the command platform of Dragon Peak. Bei Shuang. Wang Xian looked at Bei Shuang and called out to her. Over at Dragon Palace, they could kill 5 rank 8 Undying God King Abyss species. 5 was the limit, but there were 8 over there. He wanted to bring Bei Shuang along. Yes, master. Bei Shuang nodded her head and flew towards Dragon Peak's command platform. Sect leader Kitagawa, you guys take care of things here. We'll go to the Dragon Python group to kill more Abyss species. Wang Xian said to sect leader Kitagawa and the rest. Tianjin drove Dragon Peak and flew towards the right at a terrifying speed. Alright. Sect leader Kitagawa and the rest saw Wang Xian's reply and nodded their heads. The 7 rank 8 Undying God King Abyss species on their side had been killed, and the rest of the Undying God King Abyss species were almost completely wiped out. There was no longer any danger here. They just needed to make a few moves, and they would be able to finish off the rest of the Abyss species. Given Dragon Palace's strength, they should be able to obtain quite a number of Abyss species crystals. An old ancestor looked at the departing Dragon Peak and said, "That's what the Dragon Palace deserves. They're so strong, and they dared to take the risk. It's only right for them to get some Abyss species crystals." Another old ancestor said plainly, the Abyss species were not as important as the reinforcements from the Dragon Palace to these factions that were stationed here. In fact, these factions were even willing to use all their Abyss species to ask for help from the Dragon Palace. Chapter 2631. An expert responded to us? Which faction? In front of the planet occupied by the Dragon Python group, within the endless abyss, 7 to 8 million disciples were fighting against the Abyss creatures. The entire Abyss creatures were littered with broken bodies, broken arms, legs, and even heads floated about on the battlefield. Compared to Beichuan sect, the situation here was even worse. There were over 1 million Abyss creature corpses, and this was after most of the corpses were devoured by the Abyss creatures. In a short half an hour of battle, the Dragon Python group had lost 2 to 3 million people. In the air, the 4 elders of the Dragon Python group each held a shield. The shield was engraved with a mystical dragon. One look was enough to tell that it was not ordinary. Pung pung pung. In front of them, an incomparably huge pitch-black tail swept over and struck an old man's shield. The elder was instantly sent flying backwards. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, his face slightly pale. An expert has responded. Which force is this expert from? The 4 upper echelons of the Dragon Python group relied on the Dragon Python God Shield to defend against the 8 Undying God King Abyss creatures. If not for the Dragon Python God Shield, the greatest treasure and trump card of the Dragon Python group, they would have long been killed. Even so, the 4 of them were pale, unable to hold on for much longer. After all, there were 8 Undying God King Abyss creatures on their side. I don't know, this voice sounds a little young? Is it someone from the Moon sect? An elder by the side roared with a sunken face. The Dragon Python God Shield interweaved, blocking the terrifying attacks. No matter who it is, as long as someone comes to help, they are the benefactors of our Dragon Python group. We cannot place our hopes on others. Hold them off, hold them off. An old man dressed in a yellow dragon python roared solemnly. His body was filled with majesty. These 4 were the strongest experts of the factions that had stood in this space for tens of millions of years. One look from them could suffocate others. If the ones that come are too weak, who knows how many of our disciples will be left after the battle? An old man said with an incomparably ugly expression. The losses were too great. Bang bang bang. At the same time, in front of the planets on the northern front, Dragon Peak was flying towards the right at a terrifying speed. They did not charge through the Abyss creatures, because they were not strong enough. Boom boom boom. When they passed by the center of the planet, an even more terrifying sound came from the Abyss. Wang Xian looked over and saw 5 figures engaged in a grand battle. On the command platform, there were 5 black dots, representing 5 Ninth Order Immortal God King Realm existences. Among them, there were 3 Ninth Order Immortal King Realm experts from the Crescent Great Sect. As for whether there were any stronger experts, no one knew. The battle between Ninth Order Immortal God King Realm experts was even more shocking, as the shockwaves of the battle spread over hundreds of millions of li. Just the aftermath of this battle was enough to destroy some stars. After this battle, the Dragon Palace will be able to produce Ninth Order Immortal God King Realm experts. Wang Xian swept his gaze across, and his eyes sparkled. Dragon King, the Dragon Python group is just up ahead. After flying at full speed for 15 minutes, Long Feng arrived in front of a planet. His eyes flickered as he looked at the abyssal species in front of him. It was too miserable. Too many people had died. The number of abyssal species here was even higher than Beichuan clans. Everyone from the Dragon Python group, our Dragon Palace is here to support you. Long Feng arrived in front of the Dragon Python group's planet and charged straight into the abyss. Wang Xian swept his gaze across and called out, Dragon Palace. Dragon Palace? That's the strength of the Frost Goddess's master. Great, Dragon Palace has the strength to kill an 8th Order Immortal God King. When the 4 old men with the Dragon Python shields saw Long Feng coming over, their eyes lit up with excitement. Dragon Palace had the record of killing an 8th Order Immortal God King Realm Abyss species. Thank you, Dragon King, for your help. The Dragon Python group is extremely grateful. Please help us fend off these 8 abyssal species. As long as we can hold them off for half an hour, we should be able to overcome this crisis. One of the experts from the Dragon Python group said, Don't worry, since we're here, we can easily kill these abyssal species. Tianjun replied, and Long Feng soon arrived at the battlefield. Ha! Everyone from the Dragon Python group was shocked when they heard Tianjun's words. We just need the experts from Dragon Palace to help us fend them off. One of the old men from the Dragon Python group could not help but say, Kill. But just as he finished his sentence, Tianjun gave the order. Before Long Feng entered the battlefield, a series of arrows covered the sky and shot towards the abyssal species ahead. Blazing Golden Swords attack. The Fire Hammer race also launched their attacks against the abyssal species ahead. Thousands of divine weapons shot out blazing golden swords and charged into the battlefield. Ice Dragon Rend. Hovering above the dragon peak, North Frost waved his arm, and a Frost Divine Dragon condensed from ice charged forward. Ka ka ka. It flew to the center of the abyssal species and let out a cracking sound. Bam. Following that, countless icicles shot towards the surroundings and pierced through the abyssal species. So strong, the experts from Dragon Palace are so strong. Frost Goddess is here too. Thank you, Dragon Palace, thank you. When Dragon Palace's first round of attack arrived, everyone from the Dragon Python group was shocked. Then, their eyes lit up with excitement. Some of the disciples from the Dragon Python group were so excited that their bodies were trembling. Just in time, tens of thousands of disciples from the Dragon Python group died every minute. Now that the experts from Dragon Palace had arrived, millions of abyssal species were killed in a single round of attack. This would save a lot of lives for the Dragon Python group. Some of the higher-ups of the Dragon Python group were filled with gratitude. One had to know that the people who had died were their disciples, their family members. Ha, thank you, Dragon Palace. In the future, with just a word from you, Dragon King, the Dragon Python group will fight for Dragon Palace. The 4 pinnacle experts from the Dragon Python group were thrilled to see this. Hee, everyone from the Dragon Python group, we are fighting for the abyssal species. The abyssal species that we kill will belong to us. Wang Xian smiled faintly as he stared at the 8-rank 8 Immortal King Realm abyssal species above him. Everyone, let's join forces and kill those 8 beasts. He let out a soft shout. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Long Feng charged into the center of the battlefield and placed several array compass in front of him. Swoosh! Beishuang leaped into the air and floated beside the 4 old men. Wang Xian also flew over. What? Kill 8 rank 8 abyssal species? The 4 pinnacle experts from the Dragon Python group were shocked. Chapter 2632. Wonderful pop-up window free reading. Dragon King, with our strength, it might be a little difficult to kill these 8 beasts. Within the abyss, the 4 old men from the Dragon Python group felt that Wang Xian's words were a little too far-fetched. The 4 of you from the Dragon Python group, can you guys handle 3 rank 8 Immortal King Abyss demons? Upon hearing their words, Wang Xian made a move and flew towards them directly. 3 is naturally not a problem. With our strength, we might not be able to kill 3 of them, but we can trap all 3 of them to death. The chairman of the Dragon Python group replied immediately. They had the Dragon Python Divine Shield, and while their attacks might not be the top amongst the rank 8 Immortal King realm, their defense was definitely something other rank 8 Immortal King Abyss demons could not match up to. Alright, you guys can trap 3 of them. Wang Xian nodded immediately. Whoosh! As his words landed, Bei Shuang's figure appeared beside Wang Xian. Leave the other 5 to us. Wang Xian roared and extended his arm, sending a gigantic dragon claw towards the abyss demons. Voila! At the side, North Frost similarly stretched out his frost claws, and then 2 extremely enormous claws attacked. Whoosh whoosh! On the archery platform, Mao Zishan's bow was drawn to the max, and he locked onto one of the rank 8 Immortal King Abyss demons. Wung wung wung! At this time, the dragon peak shook slightly, and 3 thorny monsters flew towards Wang Xian's side, the thorny vines attacking the rank 8 Immortal King Abyss demons. In an instant, the 5 Immortal King Abyss demons were attacked by Wang Xian's group, and they charged over. This Dragon Palace can kill 5 rank 8 Immortal King Abyss demons? The people from the Dragon Python group looked over, and their eyes were filled with shock. Old Fong, look, there are so many experts from Dragon Palace on the Dragon Peak. However, at this time, a rank 8 expert from the Dragon Python group looked towards the Dragon Peak, and his eyes were filled with shock. On the Dragon Peak, a group of powerful archers were slaughtering the Abyss demons. Even some rank 7 Immortal King Abyss demons could not withstand the attacks of those Abyss demons. Each arrow was like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. Other than the arrows, there were also the blazing golden swords, each with undying God King level attack power. Good. Our disciples will have fewer casualties. The Dragon Palace is very strong, and the Dragon Peak is also very heaven-defying. The 4 Type 8 experts of the Dragon Python group heaved a sigh of relief. No matter what, they had survived this crisis. Boom 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 boom. At this time, the battle between Wang Xian and the Abyss demons had completely erupted. Wang Xian, North Frost, Mao Zishan and the 3 bramble monsters that could kill undying God Kings. In fact, if it was like their Dragon Python group, with their treasure, the Dragon Python Divine Shield, they could withstand the attacks of 2 Immortal Kings of the same level. Yet now, the Dragon Palace had killed a rank 8 Abyss species so quickly. The strength that the Dragon Palace had displayed was only 6 rank 8 Immortal King experts. 6 to kill 5, it would be extremely difficult. Yet what happened next caused them to be filled with shock. In less than a minute, another rank 8 Immortal King rank 8 Abyss species was killed. This time, they noticed that there was another mysterious expert hiding in the void of the Dragon Palace. Even they didn't notice the existence of that strange expert. We've already killed 2, the other 3 should be easy. With 2 rank 8 Immortal King rank 8 Abyss species killed, the remaining 3 was only a matter of time. The 4 experts of the Dragon Python group were shocked. The other 3 rank 8 Immortal King rank 8 Abyss species felt a sense of threat, and could not help but become restless, attacking the monsters formed by the Thorns formation. However, it was even more difficult for them to break through the defense of the Thorns formation. 3 more, finish them quickly. Chapter 2633, Wonderful Pop-Up Window Free Reading. Kill. Within the abyss, Wang Xian stared at the abyss creatures that were trying to break through, his eyes cold. Bei Shuang also grunted, following closely behind Wang Xian. Frost froze the void, greatly limiting the speed of the 3 undying God King level 8 abyss beasts. So. On the archery platform, Mao Zishan stood afar, firing arrows at the 3 creatures. On the surface, Wang Xian and the rest, together with the spiky monsters, were facing off against the 3 abyssal creatures. The 3 abyssal creatures were already suppressed by the spiky monsters, but now, wounds began to appear on their bodies. The following battle was a one-sided affair. Under the continuous attacks of roving demon, the 3 abyssal creatures could not put up much of a fight. One by one, the abyssal creatures fell, and in less than 5 minutes, The last 3 abyssal creatures had fallen at the hands of Wang Xian and the rest. They're really all dead. The people from Dragon Palace are really strong. We'll hold these 3 abyssal creatures back. Dragon King, come and kill these bastards. At the side, the 4 Type 8 experts of the Dragon Python Corporation went from shock to shock, and finally numbness. Seeing the 5 abyssal creatures being killed, they could not help but feel excited. 5 abyssal creatures had been killed by Dragon Palace. Wouldn't it be easy for the 3 on their side? Alright. Wang Xian nodded, and without hesitation, he flew towards the chairman of the Dragon Python Corporation. Next, they surrounded the last 3 abyssal creatures. As for the following battle, there was no suspense at all. 2 minutes. In just 2 minutes, the last 3 abyssal creatures were killed. Ha 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 ha. Seeing the corpses of the abyssal creatures, the chairman of the Dragon Python Corporation and the rest could not help but laugh out loud. Their laughter was a little crazy. They had thought that they would suffer heavy losses this time, and some of them might even be heavily injured or even killed. They only wanted to call for help, but they did not expect the experts from Dragon Palace to rush over. What was even more unexpected was that Dragon Palace's strength was this terrifying. The 8 abyssal creatures were all killed under the combined attacks of the experts from Dragon Palace. Victory! Thank you, Dragon Palace, for your help. Thank you, Dragon King. The chairman of the Dragon Python Group and the other 3 flew to Wang Xian and the rest. They cupped their fists and bowed to express their gratitude. You're too polite. Wang Xian nodded his head plainly. Dragon King, words cannot express our gratitude. The Dragon Palace's help this time has helped us to reduce our losses. The Dragon Python Group is willing to give 10% of our shares to the Dragon Palace. In addition, if the Dragon Palace needs anything in the future, the Dragon Python Group will not decline. The 4 level 8 Heavenly Kings of the Dragon Python Group exchanged glances before speaking to Wang Xian again. The Dragon Python Group had promised to give them shares with the help of a powerhouse. To the entire Dragon Python Corporation, 10% of the shares was definitely a terrifying amount of assets. Even the 4 of them only owned a little more than 10% of the shares. The reason why they were willing to give 10% of their shares to the Dragon King and the Dragon Palace was that the Dragon Palace was too powerful. He could easily kill 5 rank 8 abyss beasts. This strength was definitely enough to deal with 10 Undying God King level 8 abyss beasts. Most importantly, this might not be the full strength of the Dragon Palace. Now that the Devil Islands were facing the worst disaster in a billion years, if they could rope in a powerful force like the Dragon Palace, it would be a huge boon to the Dragon Python Group's survival. Pulling the Dragon Palace onto the same side was the best choice. Sure. Upon hearing their words, Wang Xian nodded his head plainly. There was no reason to reject an unexpected fortune. If a 10% share of the Dragon Python Group was exchanged for resources, it could at least increase the strength of a few level 8 Undying God King experts. As for the other motives of the Dragon Python Group, he did not need to consider it. They were just doing it for mutual benefit. After all, the Dragon Palace was here to hunt the abyss beasts. Alright, all members of the Dragon Python Group, remember that the Dragon Palace's help today has helped us to reduce our losses. In the future, the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace will hold 10% of the shares of the Dragon Python Group, and the Dragon King will also be one of the major shareholders of the Dragon Python Group. In the future, the Dragon King can mobilize all the members of the Dragon Python Group. Seeing the Dragon King is like seeing us. The chairman of the Dragon Python Group announced loudly. Yes, Chairman. Yes. Your disciples will obey. The group of disciples responded loudly when they heard the chairman's words. In this battle, if not for the help of the Dragon Palace, at least half of them would have died here. It was not an exaggeration to say that the Dragon Palace was their benefactor. Moreover, they had witnessed the strength of the Dragon Palace, and were filled with gratitude and respect for the Dragon King. Hee, the abyss beasts here are almost all killed. We shall not stay here any longer. Wang Xian smiled faintly, and ordered the members of the Dragon Palace to keep the corpses of the abyss beasts, and then cupped his fists towards the chairman and the other 3. Alright, we are still fighting on the other planets, We have to go and settle them. After this battle, the Dragon Python group will definitely go and thank the Dragon King and the Dragon Palace personally. The chairman and the rest of them also cupped their fists and said with a smile, Wang Xian nodded and flew towards the command platform of the Dragon Peak. Bei Shuang and the rest immediately followed behind. The surrounding area was almost cleared when Wang Xian and the rest killed the 8 level 8 Undying God King Abyss beasts. After all, there were 5,000 Undying God King level experts on the Dragon Peak, and thousands of Undying God King level divine weapons. Let's go, Wang Xian said to Tianjun. Dragon King, the harvest this time is too bountiful. Our strength might be able to improve further. Tianjun said excitedly to him. Wang Xian nodded. There were 16 level 8 Abyss Beasts corpses. Together with the rest of the corpses, they might be able to give 2 members of the Dragon Palace the strength of a level 9 Undying God King. As for the rest of the Abyss Beasts corpses, there were about 4,000 of them. Those below the Eternal God King level, the Dragon Palace had collected about 10 million corpses. These were all Eternal God Lord level corpses. The resources of these corpses could boost the strength of the Dragon Palace's Undying God Kings. At least another 20,000 Undying God Kings. Let's go back. This battle is almost over. Wang Xian looked at the red dot on the array in front of Tianjun and said. Tianjun nodded and immediately flew towards the planet of the Dragon Palace. Chapter 2634. It's all thanks to the Dragon Palace this time. Otherwise, we might not have survived. Yeah, it's all thanks to the help from the Dragon Palace. The Dragon King and the experts from the Dragon Palace are so powerful. In the future, the Dragon King will be the major shareholder of our Dragon Python Corporation. I really didn't expect this. The Dragon Palace is our benefactor. Moreover, the Dragon Palace is so powerful. It's only right that they become the major shareholders. Watching Dragon Palace's Long Feng leave, some of the Dragon Python Corporation's disciples looked at the gradually disappearing Long Feng in awe and discussed among themselves. This battle was all thanks to the Dragon Palace. All disciples retreat from the abyss. When Long Feng passed by the Moon Sect, a voice came from inside. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the battlefield. 3 8th Order Undying God King Realm experts from Yu Great Sect had defeated 2 8th Order Abyss demons. In the abyss, they had also killed a large number of abyssal species. The great sects of the Moon were the most powerful forces in the north. Once they were under pressure, they would be in real danger. Fortunately this time, the great sects of the Moon won the war easily. Long Feng flew at high speed. After half an hour, he arrived at the planet where the Dragon Palace was built. Let's go back to the main Dragon Palace, said Wang Xian to Tianjun and the rest with a beaming face. It's Dragon King. The members immediately entered the Dragon Palace and teleported to the main Dragon Palace. Prime Minister Turtle also sent people to guard the Dragon Peak. This time, I'll first raise the Heavenly Formation's combat strength to the 9th Order Undying God King realm. The rest of the Type 8 and Type 7 Abyss species corpses will be used to increase the strength of some Type 8 members. Upon returning to the Dragon Palace, Wang Xian immediately instructed Tianjun and the rest. 16 Undying God King Level 8 Abyss species corpses, plus a bunch of Level 7 Abyss species corpses. It was enough to create 2 Level 9 members. However, Wang Xian was not prepared to do so. 10 Rank 8 corpses could produce 1 Rank 9 combat power, and 10 corpses could produce 10 members with Rank 8 combat power. 10 8th Order God King Realm experts were more than enough to fight against a 9th Order God King Realm expert. Therefore, Wang Xian was only prepared to upgrade the Heavenly Array to the 9th level Undying God King Realm. Because of the upgrade, he would be able to fight against 2 to 3 Undying God King Realm experts. As for Wang Xian himself, he did not intend to level up at the moment. He could not level up directly through the corpse of the Abyss species. It's Dragon King. Excitement flashed in Tianjun's eyes. His 9th Order Undying God King Realm battle prowess was one step closer to his peak. This time, the Dragon Palace will have about 10 more 8th Order Undying God Kings. Wang Xian mumbled as he looked at the resources in his hands. As for the other members, it was even more terrifying. In the next few days, the members of the Dragon Palace entered the Dragon Transformation Pool to quickly improve their strength. And on the Demon Island after this battle, it caused quite a stir. Among them, Dragon Palace rose to fame in one battle. The experts of Dragon Palace first helped Bei Chuanzong kill the 8-rank 8 Undying God King Abyss species. After that, they went to support the Dragon Python group and killed 8 Undying God King level 8 Abyss beasts. Coupled with the terrifying archers in the Dragon Peak of the Dragon Palace, tens of millions of abyssal species had died in the hands of the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Python Corporation even gave 10% of its shares to the Dragon Palace. The news left everyone dumbfounded. The Dragon Palace is much stronger than the Beichuan sect, the Dragon Python group, and the Ancient God Dynasty. You guys don't know, the experts of the Dragon Palace are too ferocious. The Dragon King even has a subordinate hiding in the void. He will definitely heavily injure the rank 8 abyssal species. That Dragon Peak is even scarier. The 3 bramble creatures easily suppress the rank 8 abyssal species. And that archer can shoot 1,000 arrows in a second. It's like a killing machine for the abyssal species. This time, the Dragon Python Corporation directly gave the Dragon King 10% of the shares and ordered their disciples to treat the Dragon King like they do them. The Dragon Python Corporation owes the Dragon King a huge favor and will probably be on the same side as the Dragon King in the future. It's not just the Dragon Python Corporation. Beichuan Sect's Goddess of Ice is the Dragon King's disciple, and the Dragon King has helped Beichuan Sect twice. The Beichuan Sect owes the Dragon King a huge favor. If anything happens to the Dragon Palace, the Beichuan Sect will also lend a hand. On the smart computer, countless people were discussing towards an expert from a small galaxy that suddenly appeared. Everyone was filled with shock, especially killing 16 rank 8 Undying God King Abyss species in one battle. Such a feat could only be achieved by a large sect. In addition, their leader was the master of the Goddess of Ice, and now the Beichuan Sect and the Dragon Python Corporation owed a huge favor. It could be said that this battle had made the Dragon Palace famous on the Demon Island. Many forces and experts were wary of their strength. Just the strength displayed by the Dragon Palace alone could probably only be suppressed by the large sects. On the entire Demon Island, there were only 4 large sects. The strength of the Dragon Palace could be considered as one of the top forces on the Demon Island. In addition, the relationship between the Dragon Python Corporation and Beichuan Sect on the Demon Island, other than the large sects, no forces could go against the Dragon Palace. However, even the large sects would show some respect to forces of this level. Xiao Xian, the Star Princess, will be leaving tomorrow. Wang Xian was unaware of what was happening on the Demon Island. In the Dragon Palace, Tang Yinxian came to his side and said, why is that girl leaving? Wang Xian was slightly surprised. The Emperor Star Princess had been in the Dragon Palace for a few years, and according to her, she would be returning to the Imperial Court in 2 years to participate in the Young Generation Assessment. As long as she passed the assessment, she would be able to enter the Void Kingdom of the Imperial Court and enter the secret land of the Imperial Court. At the same time, her status in the Imperial Court would be greatly improved. Going back now, the Star Princess said that the Imperial Court is also facing the threat of the Deep Abyss. Therefore, the Young Disciple Assessment has been brought forward. As Tang Yinxian spoke, she hesitated for a moment before continuing. Xiao Xian, are you going with her this time? Tang Yinxian and Wang Xian knew a little about the Emperor Star Princess. There were 2 types of assessment for the disciples in the Imperial Court. One was strength, and the other was influence. Strength was one's own strength, while influence was the influence under one's hand, and the power that could be mobilized. These 2 criteria were the criteria to evaluate the disciples of the Imperial Court. The stronger one was, the more benefits he would receive. The Emperor Star Princess clearly did not have any influence, but she was strong. The strength of a peak almighty was absolutely invincible in this generation of the Imperial Court. In addition, she had a rank 5 Immortal King Realm War pet, the giant serpent of the galaxy. Her strength was definitely unparalleled in this generation. As for influence, she did not have any. If Wang Xian were to go, he would be able to represent her influence. If I were to go now, Wang Xian frowned slightly. If it were any other time, Wang Xian would naturally accompany her. However, the war on the Demon Island was extremely fruitful. This was a great opportunity for the Dragon Palace. Wang. However, at this moment, the Dragon King Hall suddenly trembled, interrupting his thoughts. He was slightly taken aback. Chapter 2635. What's going on? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. In a flash, he arrived at the Dragon King Hall. Huh, it's the Moon Bay. Wang Xian looked to the right of the Dragon Throne, and went to it immediately. The Moon Bay of the ancient pond was a treasure traded during the exchange. It was one of the most valuable treasures of the fairies. He had placed the Moon Bay here for a few days, and had not paid attention to it. Wang Xian's eyes lit up as he looked at the Moon Bay. The Moon Bay that he traded previously had a crack on it. It looked like an ancient pond without anything. At this moment, there were drops of crystal clear liquid in the Moon Bay. There was very little liquid, only 5 or 6 drops, dripping down from the branches above. One drop was as red as flames, one was flashing with lightning, one was surrounded by green light, and one was gray. There was a drop in the middle that was as clear as crystal. Wang Xian's eyes lit up, and were filled with curiosity. Endless flame, nirvana lightning liquid, normal liquid, soul returning liquid, vitality liquid. Information after information appeared in his mind, causing his eyes to flicker with light. The first 4 drops of liquid were of little value, as they were equivalent to 1/20th of the effects of the endless embryo fruit. To Wang Xian, only the soul-returning liquid was more magical, and had a more powerful ability. When the user dripped a drop of blood on the soul-returning liquid, the blood on the soul-returning liquid would be activated and resurrected after the user was killed, and the user's body was completely obliterated. Although this ability was still far from the soul-returning fruit, it was already heaven-defying enough. It was equivalent to a second life. Such a treasure was priceless. However, there was a limitation. The soul-returning liquid could only be used once. In other words, no matter how much soul-returning liquid you had, you could only resurrect once. The effects of the endless flame and nirvana lightning liquid were even worse. Of course, this was in Wang Xian's opinion. In fact, the nirvana lightning liquid had the ability to change one's physique. It could turn one's physique into a powerful divine body, and increase the speed of cultivation. The last drop of vitality liquid was condensed in the Moon Bay of the ancient pond. One drop could instantly heal any injury, no matter how serious the injury was. Moreover, this vitality liquid had the ability to detoxify. It was also a rare treasure. These liquids might seem ordinary to me, but their value in the outside world is definitely priceless, especially the soul-returning liquid, which is equivalent to a second life. Wang Xian looked at the liquid and mumbled to himself. He didn't dare to sell the endless embryo fruit, or the nirvana thunder embryo fruit. But he could sell these few drops of liquid. A contemplative look appeared on his face. A fruit that could turn a person into a source body. This effect was simply too heaven-defying. Even if the Dragon Palace sold one, it would be coveted by countless forces. However, the effects of these liquids weren't too heaven-defying, so they could still be used. Just that drop of soul-returning elixir alone is enough to raise my cultivation by a level. He murmured. Even Void God Emperor might be tempted by such a life-saving treasure. If a drop of soul-returning liquid could be used to exchange for an undying God King stage 9 Abyss species corpse, those sects would definitely be willing. The Crescent Moon sect doesn't have the strength to kill an undying God King level 9 Abyss species. The chances of them buying it is low. However, it would definitely fetch a good price in the imperial court. Wang Xian mumbled to himself as he pondered. He could follow the Emperor Star Maiden to the imperial court. As for the Demon Island, he could only let the Sky Array Prime Minister Turtle handle it. After all, it was important for him to gather the resources to raise his cultivation. Xiao Xian, the effects of these liquids seem to be much weaker than the fruits, Tang Yinxian said as she looked at the liquids in the Moon Bay. Yeah, other than the vitality liquid, the others are much weaker than the fruits. However, they can be sold. I'm going to follow the Emperor's Star Maiden to the Imperial Court. Wang Xian nodded and said to her, Are you going? If you go, I'm sure the Emperor's Star Maiden will be very happy. Tang Yinxian said with a smile. Let's go. Firstly, to sell these liquids. Secondly, that lass has helped Qing Wei and the rest. Wang Xian nodded. He had a good impression of the Emperor's Star Maiden. Where is that lass? I'll let her know. As Wang Xian spoke, he came to the place where the Emperor's Star Maiden lived. Star Maiden, Xiao Xian said he would go with you tomorrow. Tang Yinxian said with a smile when she saw the Emperor's Star Maiden. Wow, Wang Xian, at least you have a conscience. Hee, it's good that you're with me. When the time comes, I'll suppress everyone in the Imperial Court and let them know how powerful I, the Emperor's Star Maiden, am. When the Emperor's Star Maiden learned that Wang Xian was going with her, she was excited. With Wang Xian tagging along, she wanted to know which disciple in the Imperial Court could be a match for her. She was clear about the current strength of the Dragon Palace. Oh, I'm mainly going to the Imperial Court to sell some things. Wang Xian said plainly. TSK, can't you say something nice? The Emperor's Star Maiden was taken aback when she heard him, following which she glared at him. Let's go to the Imperial Court from the northern line of the Demon Islands tomorrow. Wang Xian smiled and said to her. All right. The Emperor's Star Maiden nodded. The next day, Wang Xian brought a few drops of the liquids with him. Together with the Emperor's Star Maiden, Aunt Ying, they went to the northern line of the Demon Islands, through the teleportation array of the Dragon Palace. The entire northern side of the Imperial Star Domain has been invaded by the Abyss. I heard that there's a huge crisis lurking in the Imperial Court as well. A war is likely to break out soon. The Emperor's Star Maiden came to the northern line, looked at the Abyss at the side, and said with a grave expression, The Abyss can threaten the Imperial Court? There should be a few Void God Emperors in the Imperial Court, right? Wang Xian looked at her and asked doubtfully. The Abyss has existed in the Imperial Star Domain for billions of years. There are also Void Emperor-level Abyss species in there. But I don't know why the Abyss dares to invade us this time. The Emperor's Star Maiden shook her head and looked around. There's only one planet at the northern line that can be teleported to the Imperial Court. It's called the Moon Beckoning Planet. Let's go to the Moon Beckoning Planet. Wang Xian nodded his head and flew ahead. Dragon King. However, when Wang Xian flew to the side of the Dragon Peak, a disciple of the Dragon Palace shouted, What's the matter? He raised an eyebrow and asked, Dragon King, a group of experts from the Dragon Python group is here to pay a visit. We didn't disturb you when you weren't here. They sent a divine sword over and said that this divine sword was given by you to an expert from the Dragon Python group for a trade. That trader has fallen and is now returning it. The member of the Dragon Palace said, as he handed the Dragon Blood Sword over. Wang Xian was taken aback as he took the Dragon Blood Sword. Chapter 2636. Wow, what a beautiful sword! Seeing the Dragon Blood Sword handed over by the members of the Dragon Palace, Emperor Star Maiden's eyes lit up. Wang Xian smiled at her and handed the sword to her. This is a sword I traded with someone. I didn't expect him to be dead. Now that the sword has been sent over by them, it's a gift to you. Wang Xian smiled and said plainly as he handed the sword to Emperor Star Maiden. Although it's a little inauspicious, I'll accept it reluctantly. Emperor Star Maiden could naturally recognize the power of this sword. However, to her, Wang Xian was a nouveau riche. Naturally, she would accept a gift from a nouveau riche. Let's go, Wang Xian said to her. Immediately, he wrapped her in anting and energy and flew towards the Moon Beckoning Star. The Beckoning Moon Planet was the largest and most prosperous planet of the Crescent Moon sect. From here, one could be teleported to a planet in the Central Imperial Court, and then transited from there. Master. However, when Wang Xian passed by the location of Beichuan sect, Beishuang sensed him and flew over immediately. Master, where are you going? Beishuang asked Wang Xian curiously. I'm going to the Central Island Imperial Court. I'll leave the matters here to Prime Minister Turtle and Sky Array. This trip might take more than half a month. Wang Xian looked at Bei Shuang, stopped in his tracks and said to her, "Going to the Central Island Imperial Court?" Bei Shuang looked a little dazed. Apparently she recalled something. She lifted her head and said, "Master, I'm going too." "Ah, you're going too?" Wang Xian was taken aback as he looked at her. "I'm going to settle some grudges." Bei Shuang's eyes gleamed coldly. Clearly, this was something that had happened to her in the past. "All right, let's go together." Wang Xian nodded. "Congratulations, Miss Bei Shuang. You're back." Anting looked deeply at Bei Shuang and said with a smile. Bei Shuang nodded at Anting and the Emperor Star Maiden. "Anting, do you know her?" Bei Shuang had been in the Dragon Palace for more than a year. However, she had not interacted with the girls, let alone the Emperor Star Maiden and the rest. Moreover, the Emperor Star Maiden and the rest did not know Bei Shuang. Seeing Anting congratulating Bei Shuang, the Emperor Star Maiden couldn't help but ask. "I've heard of her reputation in the past. Back then, the Imperial Court's current Imperial Prince pursued her and caused some trouble." Anting transmitted her voice to the Emperor Star Maiden. "Oh, really? The Emperor Star Maiden wasn't even born back then, so she didn't know about this. In the Imperial Court, 5,000 years was equivalent to one generation. This was already a matter of 6 to 7 generations." The Emperor Star Maiden also learned about Bei Shuang's rise through the artificial intelligence system. However, she didn't know about the gossip between Bei Shuang and the Imperial Court's prince. In every generation, the strongest male and female of the Imperial Court's younger generation would be called Imperial Prince and Imperial Princess. This was the highest title of this generation. It was also the highest honor. "This time, I want to become the Crown Princess," the Emperor Star Maiden murmured as a resolute look appeared in her eyes. "We're here." Soon, the group arrived at the beckoning moon planet. Wang Xian announced, "Master, the teleportation portal is over here." As Bei Shuang spoke, he led the way and flew towards the teleportation array. Dragon King Frost Goddess. At the teleportation array, the moon sect's disciple guarding the place called out respectfully. One was the leader of the Dragon Palace after a single battle, and the other was the famous Frost Goddess. Such experts would be respected even if they weren't from the moon sect. Bei Shuang nodded, and the four of them entered the teleportation array. Through the teleportation array, they soon arrived at a planet. Then, under the guidance of the Emperor Star Maiden, they began to transfer. After a full 5 hours of transfer, they finally stopped. One could imagine how huge the Imperial Court was on the Central Island. The Imperial Star Domain had a large central island, 3 smaller islands, and various other galaxies. Just the Central Island alone occupied 3/5 of the entire Imperial Star Domain. And in the Central region, the Imperial Court occupied 70% of the planets. According to the artificial intelligence system, the number of planets directly under the control of the Imperial Court was more than 15 billion. More than 15 billion habitable planets. What kind of concept was that? The 2 planets that were the furthest away from each other. Even if a pinnacle god king expert were to fly directly, it would still take a few decades. As for the strength of the Imperial Court, it was even more unfathomable. At the very least, there were more than 2 to 3 million immortal king experts. This was the strength of the ruler of the entire Imperial Star Domain. Thinking back to the Battle of Emperor's Fall, the Shaman Union had lost hundreds of thousands of immortal king experts, and all of them were 6th order immortal king and above. This is the Imperial Court's island. The Emperor Star Maiden's voice rang out, and Wang Xian scanned the surroundings with awe. The core of the Imperial Court was not on a planet, but a humongous island. A void island, a humongous land plate. As for how big the entire island was, Wang Xian could not even see the end. The Imperial Court's island is huge, and a pinnacle god king expert would need a month to fly from one side to the other. The Emperor Star Maiden introduced to Wang Xian. Wang Xian clicked his tongue. So this was the Imperial Court. There were thousands of planets in the entire northern region, and if Wang Xian flew from the first to the last, he would probably need a day to fly from the first to the last. But here, Even a pinnacle god lord expert would need a day to fly. Vast, boundless. The entire land plate and the large islands were comparable to the South Star Galaxy. How terrifying. The Imperial Court's island is divided into the inner island and the outer island. Other than the core disciples of the Imperial Court, only those who have reached the Immortal King realm can enter the inner island. The Emperor Star Maiden continued to introduce to Wang Xian. He nodded his head slightly. Let's go. I'll bring you to my house. Upon returning to the Imperial Court's island, the Emperor Star Maiden was clearly in high spirits. She immediately walked to the teleportation array and waved at Wang Xian. The Imperial Court is huge, and you can teleport here. Of course, you can also use the Void Tunnel. The speed of teleportation is faster, and of course the price is higher. The Emperor Star Maiden said with a smile, and the few of them disappeared. This is the inner island. Soon, the four of them appeared in a vast public square. Wang Xian looked ahead, and his eyes lit up. There was a humongous palace in front of him. Looking at the majestic palace, Wang Xian felt as though his body had shrunk by hundreds of times. The palace towered into the clouds, and each pillar was estimated to be hundreds of thousands of meters tall. Just the main hall alone was 10,000 meters tall. The pillars propped up one after another, and it made one feel insignificant. Boundless energy came from the direction of the palace. Even though Wang Xian was hundreds of millions of kilometers away, he could still feel it clearly. Chapter 2637. Vast and Invincible. This was the feeling that the Imperial Court gave Wang Xian. Such a vast and majestic Imperial Court was not something that could be accumulated over thousands, tens of thousands, or even millions of years. The Imperial Court had controlled the Imperial Star Domain for hundreds of millions of years. In these hundreds of millions of years, the Imperial Court had accumulated a terrifying power. Let's go. I'll bring you to my house. As the Emperor Star Maiden spoke, she flew towards the vast palace with a face full of joy. Wang Xian and the rest followed closely behind. Beside her, Bei Shuang's eyes flickered as she looked around. Her eyes were filled with reminiscence and coldness. This time, she was here to let some people know that Bei Shuang was back. At the same time, she wanted to let some people know that Bei Shuang, was back. After flying for half an hour behind Emperor Star Maiden, she stopped at a place with mountains and plains in front of the palace. This was a very beautiful place with rivers, lakes, grasslands, and trees. Wild beasts could be seen flying on the grasslands from afar. There were cranes dancing and heavenly horses galloping. Wang Xian's eyes swept across those wild beasts, and his heart skipped a beat. 20% of the wild beasts on the grasslands were at the Immortal God King level. The rest were at the 6th Order Divine Lord level and above. Is this the strength of the Imperial Court? Compared to the Dragon Palace, the gap is too big. Wang Xian murmured. Wang Xian thought that the Dragon Palace was already very strong when he was on the Demon Island. After this upgrade, it could even match up to some of the large sects. But now, it seemed that compared to the Dominator-level forces, the gap was still too big. Even if the Imperial Court wanted to destroy the Dragon Palace, it would be a piece of cake. Compared to the Imperial Court, the large sects were still far behind. Ring, ring, ring. Emperor Star Maiden came to a corner of the grasslands, took out a bell and shook it. The ringing of the bell spread far away. Burp. Soon, the sound of cranes could be heard as 3 cranes flew over. On the crane in the middle stood a woman. The woman looked a little like the Emperor Star Maiden, and was very beautiful. Star Maiden. The woman looked at the Emperor Star Maiden with eyes filled with love, and could not help but call out softly. Mom, Emperor Star Maiden said with a smile. Hee, Sister Star Maiden has not been back for many years. This is the longest she has been away. She even brought back a handsome guy. Star Girl isn't young anymore. The laughter of 2 girls could be heard from the crane beside him. Greetings, young mistress. The woman on the crane and the 2 women jumped down. The 2 women immediately smiled and called out to the Emperor Star Maiden. It was obvious that their relationship was very good. Star Lady. The woman opened her arms and hugged the Emperor Star Daughter. Hee, Mom, I'm back. The Emperor Star Daughter smiled and hugged her mother. Yes, my daughter is back. This must be the Dragon King. The lady caressed the Emperor Star Maiden's head as she looked at Wang Xian with a beaming face. Auntie, just call me Wang Xian. Wang Xian smiled faintly. Yes, yes. Mom, just call him Wang Xian. What Dragon King? Umph. The Emperor Star Maiden immediately said. His strength is very strong. My daughter is lucky to be able to meet a noble like you. The woman patted the Emperor Star Maiden's head and smiled as she spoke. What? He's just lucky. The Emperor Star Maiden said unhappily. Star Girl and I are friends. Wang Xian looked at the Emperor Star Maiden and smiled. All right, Mom, let's go back first. The Emperor Star Maiden held her mother's hand as she spoke. All right, this must be Miss Bei Shuang. Why aren't you introducing her? The woman nodded her head and looked at Bei Shuang with a smile. Bei Shuang smiled kindly at the woman. I forgot. The Frost Goddess is Wang Xian's disciple. She's super powerful now. The Emperor Star Maiden smiled sheepishly. Chirp. The woman made a sound. Burp. Burp. The sounds of cranes could be heard. Soon a few cranes flew over. The woman sized up the Frost Goddess with sparkling eyes. As she had been paying attention to the news of her daughter, she might know more than the Emperor Star Maiden. Everyone, please get on the cranes. Let's have a chat at home. The woman said to them as she brought the Emperor Star Maiden to a crane. Thank you. Wang Xian nodded his head and flew onto a red-crowned crane. The crane he was riding on was a level 1 Undying God King. As for the woman, she was a level 3 Undying God King. According to the Emperor Star Maiden, this woman was one of the tens of thousands of women her father had. She didn't even have a title. Mom, I've already reached the pinnacle of the eternal God Lord realm. My battle pet, the giant space serpent, has also reached the level 5 Undying God King. I'll definitely become the princess this time. After I become the princess, I'll bring you into the palace. At that time, that guy will also give you a title. The Emperor Star Maiden said to the woman on the crane. Pinnacle of the Almighty God realm? The woman was taken aback as excitement flashed in her eyes. Mom, I didn't tell you because I wanted to give you a surprise. The Emperor Star Maiden lifted her head slightly and revealed an excited look. It doesn't matter if you enter the main palace or not. It's not bad here. I'm free. Star Maiden, I'm happy that you're successful. The woman said with a smile. That guy asked you to rear wild beasts here. How is that not bad? The Emperor Star Maiden said with resentment. She was very dissatisfied with her father. She didn't get to see her father even once in a decade. Moreover, her mother was ordered to rear wild beasts here. Although this was a good job for many, to her father, it was the work of a servant. Even the other disciples of her generation called her the daughter of a breeder. Even after she worked hard to become a famous star in the Imperial Star domain, she was still called an entertainer. All right, Star Maiden. You are you and your father is your father. Just walk your own path. The woman said plainly. She didn't have a good impression of that flirtatious man. However, that flirtatious man was once a prince. Her family had given her to that man. It was normal that she didn't have a high status. Mom, don't worry. This time, we'll hold our heads high and give everyone a shock. The Emperor Star Maiden lifted her head and said confidently. The woman nodded with a smile. Wang Xian stood on the crane and vaguely heard the conversation between the Emperor Star Maiden and the rest. He understood a little. It wasn't easy being a daughter of the imperial court. It was especially so for a powerful force like the imperial court. Just the direct disciples alone numbered in the billions and trillions. To stand out from them, one needed talent and hard work. Chapter 2638, Vast and Invincible. This was the feeling Wang Xian got from the imperial court. Such a vast and majestic imperial court was not something that could be accumulated over thousands of years, or even millions of years. The imperial court had been in control of the imperial star domain for hundreds of millions of years. In these hundreds of millions of years, the imperial court had accumulated a terrifying power. Let's go, I'll bring you to my house. As the Emperor Star Maiden spoke, she flew towards the vast palace with a face full of joy. Wang Xian and the rest followed closely behind. Bei Shuang's eyes flickered as she looked around. Her eyes were filled with reminiscence and coldness. This time, she was here to let some people know that she, Bei Shuang, was back. At the same time, she wanted to let some people know that she, Bei Shuang, was back. After flying for half an hour behind Emperor Star Maiden, Bei Shuang stopped at a place with mountains and plains in front of the palace. This was a very beautiful place with rivers, lakes, grasslands, and trees. Wild beasts could be seen flying on the grasslands from afar. There were cranes dancing and heavenly horses galloping. Wang Xian's eyes swept across those wild beasts, and his heart skipped a beat. 20% of the wild beasts on the grasslands were at the immortal God King level. The rest were at the 6th order Divine Lord level and above. Is this the strength of the Imperial Court? Compared to the Dragon Palace, the difference is too great. Wang Xian murmured. Wang Xian thought that the Dragon Palace was already very strong when he was on the Demon Island. After this upgrade, it could even rival some of the large sects. But now, it seemed like the difference was still too great when compared to the Dominator level forces. If the Imperial Court wanted to destroy the Dragon Palace, it would be a piece of cake. Compared to the Imperial Court, the large sects were still far behind. Ring, ring, ring. Emperor Star Maiden came to a corner of the grasslands, took out a bell and shook it. The ringing of the bell spread far away. Burp! Soon the sound of cranes could be heard. 3 cranes flew over, and a woman stood on the crane in the middle. The woman looked a little like the Emperor Star Maiden, and was very beautiful. Star Maiden. The woman looked at the Emperor Star Maiden with doting eyes, and could not help but call out softly, "Mom!" Emperor Star Maiden said with a smile, "Hee, little Star Lady hasn't been back for a few years. This is the longest time I've been gone." She even brought back a handsome guy. Star Girl isn't young anymore. The laughter of 2 girls could be heard from the crane beside him. "Greetings, young mistress." The woman on the crane and the 2 women jumped down. The 2 women immediately smiled and called out to the Emperor Star Maiden. It was obvious that their relationship was very good. "Star Lady." The woman opened her arms and hugged the Emperor Star Daughter. "Hee, Mom, I'm back." The Emperor Star Daughter smiled and hugged her mother. "Yes, my daughter is back. This must be the Dragon King." The lady caressed the Emperor Star Maiden's head as she looked at Wang Xian with a beaming face. "Auntie, just call me Wang Xian." Wang Xian smiled faintly. Yes, yes. Mom, just call him Wang Xian." "What Dragon King?" "Humph." The Emperor Star Maiden immediately said. His strength is very strong. My daughter is lucky to be able to meet a noble like you." The woman patted the Emperor Star Maiden's head and smiled as she spoke. "What? It's his luck that's the truth." The Emperor Star Maiden was displeased. "Star Lady and I are friends." Wang Xian looked at the Emperor Star Maiden and smiled. All right. Mom, let's go back first." The Emperor Star Maiden held her mother's hand as she spoke. "All right, this must be Miss Bei Shuang. Why aren't you introducing her?" The woman nodded her head and looked at Bei Shuang with a smile. Bei Shuang smiled kindly at the woman. "I forgot. The Frost Goddess is Wang Xian's disciple. She's super powerful now." The Emperor Star Maiden smiled sheepishly. Chirp. The woman made a sound. Burp. Burp. The sounds of cranes could be heard, following which a few cranes flew over. The woman sized up the Frost Goddess with sparkling eyes. As she had been paying attention to the news of her daughter, she might know more than the Emperor Star Maiden. "Everyone, please stand on the cranes. Let's have a chat at home," the woman said to them as she brought the Emperor Star Maiden to a crane. "Thank you." Wang Xian nodded his head and flew onto a crane. The crane he was riding on was a level 1 Undying God King. As for the woman, she was a level 3 Undying God King. According to the Emperor Star Maiden, this woman was one of the tens of thousands of women her father had. She didn't even have a title. "Mom, I've already reached the pinnacle of the Eternal God Lord realm. Moreover, my battle pet, the giant space serpent, has also reached the level 5 Undying God King. I'll definitely become the princess this time. After I become the princess, I'll bring you into the palace. At that time, that guy will also give you a title." The Emperor Star Maiden said to the woman on the crane. "Pinnacle of the Almighty God realm?" The woman was taken aback as excitement flashed in her eyes. Mom, I didn't tell you because I wanted to give you a surprise." The Emperor Star Maiden lifted her head slightly and revealed an excited look. It doesn't matter if you enter the main palace or not. It's not bad here. I'm free. Star Maiden, I'm happy that you're successful. The woman said with a smile. That guy asked you to rear dire beasts here. How is that not bad? The Emperor Star Maiden said with resentment. She was indeed very dissatisfied with her father. She didn't get to see her father even once in a decade. Moreover, her mother was ordered to rear dire beasts here. Although this was a good job for many, it was just a servant's job to her father. Even the other disciples of her generation called her the daughter of a breeder. Even when she worked hard to become a famous star in the Imperial Star domain, she was still called an entertainer. Alright, Star Maiden. You are you, and your father is your father. Just walk your own path. The woman said plainly. She didn't have a good impression of that flirtatious man. However, that flirtatious man was once a prince. Her family had given her to that man. It was normal that she didn't have a high status. Mom, don't worry. This time, we'll hold our heads high and give everyone a shock. The Emperor Star Maiden lifted her head and said confidently. The woman nodded with a smile. Wuxia stood on the crane and vaguely heard the conversation between the Emperor Star Maiden and the rest. He understood a little. It wasn't easy to become a daughter of the Imperial Court. It was especially so for a powerful force like the Imperial Court. Just the direct disciples alone numbered in the billions, or even trillions. In order to stand out, one needed talent and hard work. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.